So as a general viewpoint, non-league football is slowly on the rise. More and more people are being disillusioned from the Premier League and higher levels of football and going and watching their local teams down in the lower tiers. But I thought, let's go and do some analysis of this. Let's go back to the 12-13 season and look at some attendance statistics. What are the attendances on average of all of the teams that are currently playing in the Vanarama National League? We're going to look into which ones have had the biggest increases in attendances. Going to get into it right after this. This video has been kindly sponsored by our channel sponsors, OneFootball, who offer a great app to stay up to date with football at all sorts of different levels, right across the world in lots and lots of different leagues. There's all sorts of key information included in the app, such as league tables, stats, fixtures, lineups, and lots of different information from individual games. If you've got a random favourite team from a country far across the world, you can probably stay up to date with it in OneFootball's app by turning on notifications and finding out specific bits of information that you want on that team. There's a general news section and a general transfer section where it gives you all sorts of different completed transfers as well as transfer rumours. There's lots of viral videos as they're contained in their own specific section as well. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go and click that link in the top line of the description to go and check it out for yourself. So we're going to be ranking these attendance stats based on the percentage increase or decrease compared to the attendances that these teams had on average in the 12-13 season. That is compared to the date that this is being filmed, which is the 28th of February 2020. And the most up-to-date stats are the average stats up to this point from the 19-20 season. Barnet are the unfortunate team with the booby prize of having the biggest decrease in attendances out of all the teams in the National League. In the 12-13 season, they had an average of 2,439 at their games. They finished the season in the relegation zone in League 2. That has pretty much been cut exactly in half, a decrease of 49.9% down to 1,221 on average this season. Chesterfield are in 23rd. They had an average of 5,388 in 2013. That's decreased down by 31.1% down to 3,712. They have gone up to League 1, almost got up to the Championship. They're in the playoffs to go up to the Championship, but have since dropped right down into the National League. So again, this is a team that have had pretty contrasting fortunes over the last 7 years. Yeovil Town come right into that bracket as well. In the 12-13 season, they finished in 4th position in League 1 and since gone up to the Championship, down to League 1 and League 2, then into the National League, which is where they currently sit. Their attendances have decreased by 30.5% from 4,241 down to 2,946. Dagenham, Redbridge and Aldershot Town have both decreased their attendances by around 25%. These are two teams that in 12-13 were in League 2. Both of them were right down near the bottom. Dagenham just about surviving, but Aldershot coming down. But ultimately, 7 years on, they're both in the National League in the bottom half of the table. The next two are two quite interesting ones. Hartlepool United and Notts County. Their attendances in the last 7 years have only decreased by 7.9% and 4.2% respectively, but they've actually both dropped down through 2 leagues. Hartlepool were in 23rd in League 1 in the 12-13 season, and Notts County were in mid-table in 12th, but they are now both down in the National League, so that's kind of impressive that they've actually managed to maintain really good crowds. Notts County on average this season getting 5,277 through the gates, whereas Hartlepool getting 3,326. Torquay next, and their attendances have dropped by just 2.7%, so theirs are pretty much exactly the same. They have had both relegations and promotions over the last 7 years. They dropped right down to National South. Interestingly but unsurprisingly, those 8 teams that I've just mentioned are the only ones that are currently in the National League that in the 12-13 season were in either League 1 or League 2. There's actually only one other team who has been in the conference in the 12-13 season and is now still in the National League and has had a decreased attendance, and that is Wrexham. They have a decrease of 1.3%, but still currently have 4,093 people coming through the gates, which for non-league is very good. And to have that consistent over the last few years, despite Wrexham being stuck in the National League, that is quite a loyal fan base. But every single one of the rest of the teams on this list have had an increase in their fan bases in the last 7 years. However, including Wrexham, only 5 of them were actually in the conference during the 12-13 season. The rest of them have come up from leagues below. Ebbsfleet, Stockport and Woking have all seen small increases in their attendances. They've increased by 9.7%, 23.7% and 36.4%. But all of them have dropped from the conference down to the 6th tier and 1 promotion back. The lowest increase from a promoted side is Dover Athletic. They were in the National League South during the 12-13 season with average attendances of 776. This has since increased by 41% to just over 1,000. FC Halifax Town's attendances have increased by 71% from 1,274 to 2,179. Surely the first team on here that have come up through 2 leagues. They're in the Northern Premier League Premier Division in the 12-13 season. They have increased their attendances by 107.1%. So the first team on this list to over double their attendances. They've gone up from 638 up to 1,321. Following them is the only other team to still be in the conference that was back in 2013. That is Barrow. They have been relegated and promoted during that time though, and they are this season having a very, very good season, top of the National League. At the time of recording this video, their attendances have increased 108.4% up to 1,913 currently. Harrogate are another side that are doing really well in the National League this season, fighting for promotion, and their attendances have increased by 197.3%. They're currently getting 1,299 people through the door on average, which again for a team at the top of the National League really is quite low. Boreham Wood, Eastleigh, Sutton United and Bromley were all in the Conference South in 2013 and are now up into the National League. Their attendances have all increased between 200 and 300%. The most interesting one for me is Boreham Wood, who actually only had an average of 232 during the 12-13 season. That is such a low attendance. Even now, teams take the mick out of them because of how low their attendances are, but they have actually tripled pretty much in size, up to 712 on average. Breaking through the 300% barrier is AFC Fylde. They've come up 2 leagues. They were inside the playoffs in the Northern Premier League Premier Division in the 12-13 season. A lot's happened at Fylde in the last 7 years, obviously 2 promotions, a trip to Wembley, almost getting to the Football League, and a move from Kellermer Park to Mill Farm, and it's seen their crowds increase by 329.5%, from 346 on average to 1,486. A little bit ahead of Fylde with 366.9% are Maidenhead United, who finished just outside the relegation zone in 19th place during the 12-13 season in the National League South. They are now in a pretty much same position but 1 league higher, but with an attendance increased from 309 to 1,350. However, by far the biggest percentage increase in attendance comes in the West Midlands. Solihull Moors have seen drastic changes happen to their club and their ground in the last 7 years. They've progressed a lot on and off the pitch. They've gone from the Conference North being in 9th position during the 12-13 season to now being in the National League, almost getting promoted up to the Football League last season in a title challenge. During the 12-13 season, they had an average attendance of just 239. That's since increased to what it currently stands at 1,470. That's a 515.1% increase in attendances in the space of 7 years. That is a massive increase. In terms of numbers, that is 1,231 extra people on average inside the ground, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a massive number, especially when you consider that they're a team that is one of the biggest spending in the National League, but to have gone from such a small fan base to now having one that really isn't even that big in the National League, but percentage wise is a lot bigger than what it was. That does show that non-league is growing. However, the argument that I put at the start of the video of people being disillusioned by top level football, money that's involved in it, for example, and going down to lower leagues, Solihull have been known to spend quite a bit of money, and that's kind of the way that they've attracted fans in a way. That's kind of the same as any team though that's progressing through leagues. You need to spend money to go and get promoted, and that ambition does naturally attract people, but is that more attractive in terms of that money being spent in non-league rather than just loads of money being spent at the top level? Effectively, it's the same issue, but people are still turning away from the top level to go and support their local non-league clubs, regardless of whether they're actually spending loads of money, because if you're getting good players in, regardless of how much money they're spending, it is quite exciting to go and watch. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Are there any teams on this list that did surprise you? Did you expect them to have such a big increase in their average attendances? Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.